You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. And now your footwear insiders, Matt Priest and Andy Polk.
Jasmine, are you okay? Are you okay, Jasmine? Matt, are you okay? Are you okay, Matthew? Buddy, are you okay? Are you okay, Matthew? Andy, are you okay? Are you okay, Andy? You've been hit by, you've been struck by a smooth shoe and show. How's that?
I love Michael
I just
Jackson.
take it up a whole different level on this one.
So
we want to kick it off
I
right.
was just trying to cool down my coffee. I was not expecting.
I'm trying to heat it up, Jasmine.
totally trying to heat up.
Boiling.
And Andy, you literally gave us a heads up. You're going to do something wacky like 5 seconds. We didn't know it was coming.
That's
and
right.
And I was still caught off guard.
We were
still.
Well, I
Still
figured
caught
if
off
it's
guard.
too wacky, you guys would just freak out and leave, and then I would just have to interview Buddy on my own, and that's a disservice to him.
That's totally
in many
a disservice
ways.
to him. Absolutely.
In many ways.
Where are we,
Thank
Andy?
God we're here to save him.
We are back at effing platform.
Effing platform.
Yep,
Love
effing
it.
platform, baby. Absolutely. We're actually perched. We're in a different area now. They perched
moved us.
back in the corner, but I can actually look down all the different lanes. If no one's ever actually been and walked a floor of a trade show, a shoe trade show, they have different booths that are divided up, and you have hundreds and hundreds of samples that a factory or a brand has developed,
Yep.
and 90% of the shoes that you walk around and look at will never make the light of day. So congratulations for all that hard work. Your production team was working way into the night. People work up until the last minute, ship the samples in, and the salespeople try as hard as they may to sell those to retailers.
Right.
And the retailers look at like 3 pairs, and that's what they're going to get, and the rest are
Black, white, and brown. That's
right.
all I need. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, there is a sustainable way to take those shoes not sold and to give them to somebody who can actually use them. Am I right, buddy? Teaster,
Smooth as
president
silk,
and CEO of Soles4Souls, are our first victim / guest here at Shoe In summer of 2018, an effing platform. Buddy, welcome back to the program.
It is a pleasure.
You're one of the few, the proud, the second victims of this fine program we call Shoe In. So thanks for coming.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm a regular listener, so it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and that's, it's way down on Buddy's podcast subscribe list because he does like Hardcore History, which is like 5 hours on one line in a Churchill speech, and the history behind it. And then he listens to us to kind of just deflate mentally, right? It just
I think
kind
of it as a palate cleanser. You're like sorbet.
Wow. We're like the ginger. If he's doing sushi, we're like the ginger. We're not even the soy sauce. We're the ginger.
Oh, my
right?
gosh. So anyway, if we're the palate cleanser, welcome back. And talk to us about one, what's going on in the Soles4Souls world, and two, what do you do at a trade show? Kind of what's your mission? We all have our own angles here. Some people are trying to sell shoes. Some people are trying to update folks on tariffs. Other people are trying to record an amazing podcast. What do you do from a Soles4Souls perspective at the FN Platform Show?
Well, we have probably 3 different things that we focus on. One is it's a great chance for us to connect with existing donors. So we get it. Maybe this is the only time we see them face-to-face here in Las Vegas, twice a year.
Yeah.
So even though we try really hard not to interrupt their selling, we find times when they have a little bit of slack so they can catch up and we can catch up with what they're doing. That's the first part. The second part is it's a great place to meet new brands. As you said, there are lots of new companies every time out there. And sometimes they reach out to us and sometimes we are finding them. But this is, again, face-to-face, a great opportunity. And then the third thing is sort of what happens outside of this. We were at the off-price show. There's so many other things going on here besides platform, which 3 years ago I had no idea about. Now I have a little bit more. But
right.
Off-price and agenda and all these other things. And as we get more into apparel, that becomes more important.
Sure.
So it's a chance for us to connect into different industries that are all here at the same time.
Yeah, that's great. And so you make the connections and talk to us about kind of how the year's going, what kind of, I'm trying to think last time you were in the studio, I don't think the regional distribution centers had been constituted, but now those are up and running. Tell us more about what's going on in Soles4Souls from an infrastructure perspective.
Well, it's probably the biggest thing that we've bet on in the last few years.
Yeah.
one of the most challenging parts of Soles4Souls is making it easier to donate.
Yeah.
So, Goodwill's a great example. They're everywhere. They make it super easy, and we don't have that advantage.
Right.
So over the last 12 months or so, we've invested now in opening 7 distribution donation centers around the country. So we have them in LA, Denver, Atlanta, Richmond, Virginia, outside of New York, and we just opened Toronto and Dallas this month.
Right.
And that has proved to be tremendously valuable, both in terms of making it easier, so we're achieving that for
Right.
sure, but also having somebody in the community and making it much more of a local effort. That's no surprise. That's what motivates a lot of people to go to their closet and do something different than they have been.
Right.
And when they can go and see where those shoes are and talk to somebody and hear the stories, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I think one of the things that we've talked about, in fact, I heard you mention it yesterday, in fact, is kind of how taking the story on the distribution side and taking brands on these trips to see where their product is doing. It's one thing to sign an order to ship product to the Soles4Souls web warehouse, and then you feel pretty good about it. You get some product, it gets somewhere neat. It's a whole different dynamic when you go to Haiti and help give those shoes out to the entrepreneurs that are there in Haiti, for example. Talk to us about that disconnect, and when you're able to bridge that gap with brands, how impactful that is.
Well, it is. Our travel program is proving to be one of the sort of hidden gems in our corporate development.
Yeah.
So, we every year we do 20 or 30 travel programs. So there are a lot of people who are doing that. And we know how people are transformed when they come back. But asking a marketing person or somebody in social responsibility to take 3 or 4 or 5 days out of their schedule and travel with us is a big ask.
Yeah.
And, it's not the money. It never is. It's, dude, I don't have 5 days to be gone. And yet, anytime we were able to pull that off, they come back eyes open in a different way. I won't say wide open, in a different way, because they can draw a different line between what they're putting in their donation box or they're sending from their warehouse and seeing lives transformed in places like Haiti. And when they go back and say, guys, this is not just the act of putting it in the box, let me tell you. And so when they can tell their colleagues and increasingly tell their customers, that generates a connection that goes way beyond, like, this is a corporate social responsibility program. They get to see the difference that it makes in kids and adults' lives and how that changes them for the long term. That's a rare thing to be able to offer somebody.
Totally.
And so as we get better at explaining what that's going to look like and often customizing the trip so that it's not 5 days. Hey, if you bring 2 or 3, we can do it shorter, and we just make it very specific, which is we've done with Zappos and Adidas and StrideRite as an example.
Yeah.
Among others. We said, look, just give us 2 days. And they come back and said, well, Adidas is a great example. We used to sort of put stuff in the box and send you our samples, and we felt good about that. Now we have said everything that we're not contractually obligated to sell, we're going to give to you guys because we see the impact.
Wow, that's awesome.
When you turn a giant ship like Adidas US around that, I mean, that is a fundamental shift for them, and it allows us to plan how to have more impact for longer. And that's the business we're in. So it's a perfect match.
Is that a differentiating factor between you and other entities that collect used shoes and donated new shoes?
I think
the trips in themselves, the distribution trips.
I think how we think about it is probably a little different. Most organizations are either have or are getting in the business of saying, come and travel with us.
Yeah.
I think the thing that is different for us is we're able to make it very hands-on. And because we go back, especially on our microenterprise side, to some of the same communities time after time, we're able to say, 2 years ago was this, 1 year ago was this. 1 year from now, it will be like this. And that's different than just come and get this snapshot, which is also valuable.
Right.
Like there's a lot of power in that. But to be able to say, look, we didn't come in and just like fly over and drop off shoes and say good luck, but we're showing up time after time. That also, I think, makes our corporate donors feel better about our commitment.
Yeah.
That we're, the concerns about, are you disrupting the local community? Are you displacing other businesses? They see that, look, it's complicated. It's not.
Well, I think that's a good thing, I think, to talk about, because we have a real challenge with sustainable giving and sustainable missions and sustainable development around the world, right? We've got a lot of even with the U.S. government, it's very disjointed. They'll throw money at projects globally. They won't follow up on it. So you have one day they're going into Africa to build a well, and the next day they're leaving, and there's no training or there's no extra give. We pat themselves on the back and say good job, but that happens all the time. Same with people like the Gates Foundation who are doing great stuff. They just went through a complete transformation for the very same reason is we've got all this stuff, but what can we be very impactful on and then measure that and then continue that, right? And I think it's great that you guys are measuring yourselves and setting up your programs to become sustainable. Rather than, I think a lot of church groups will go somewhere and they'll spend time doing some mission work, but there's no follow-up. And if there's no follow-up, there's no relationships.
Exactly.
There's no transformations. There's no cultural understanding. There's no, there's none of that. And so it's great to hear that you guys are focused and have a strategy to continue to go back to those communities and build those communities and build resilience in those communities and build a baseline so that they can grow themselves. But also being mindful of not disrupting local economies, right? We know that there are people out there who will donate things and they're donating it because it's a feel-good thing, but they don't actually measure how that actually impacts local producers or
Right.
any number of things. So it's nice to hear that you guys are very cognizant of all those different things when you go into communities and work with people. How many different places around the world are you guys involved in? Are you thinking of expanding that, or are you thinking of doubling down on the ones that you're currently working with now?
It's a little bit of both, Andy. So right now we are really focused in Haiti, Honduras, Moldova, in Eastern Europe, and Sierra Leone. Those are 4 places where we have deeper we call it direct relationships.
Right.
We are beginning in Nicaragua. As soon as that smooths out, hopefully soon, we'll be shipping product there. And then leaving with David Graben, who's our president and COO soon, to go back to Sierra Leone and sort of check in there, which is it's a really tough place to do business.
Right.
And then we're going to Zambia and Uganda, and last year we were in Malawi, where we think that 1 or 2 of those will turn into partners.
Right.
But this is a great example of the power of the not-for-profit model, right? Because we don't have to report to somebody quarterly or a private equity group or all these things. So when we went to Malawi, we found a great partner, great need. He's got lots of connections to get product in the country. So all those things are set up right. Well, he emailed us earlier this summer and said, guys, I don't know if it's a good time to start. There's a drought here, could be famine. And if that happens, that's not a good time to start. People need to eat. Well, most companies that we're dealing with aren't worried about that problem.
Right.
And so, he's been able to say, okay, I think we've dodged that bullet. Let's plan for the first shipment. So being both patient as well as pretty disciplined around the business part of what we do, I think can only be accomplished in the not-for-profit model.
Right.
There's really no other way to do that over time.
Do you guys, can the general public attend these kind of overseas trips that you have, or do you guys have a filtering process, or obviously the footwear companies who know shoes can get involved, and of course you want that because that can grow your corporate reach, but can someone from, Little Rock, Arkansas, who's just interested, can they contact you and say, I really have a heart for doing this, how can I go overseas to Zambia and deliver shoes?
So out of the 20 or 30 programs we do a year, that about half of those are open to the public. Any of us could sign up right now.
Okay.
And it's young as 10, and we've had, I know I was on one trip where a woman celebrated her 70th birthday. So pretty wide range. The other half are what we call private trips, but they tend to be driven by a group like Vanderbilt athletic teams or Ohio State's athletic department or the Clemson football team or some examples. But it's corporate, it's church, it's all kinds. This summer, my wife organized a trip with 12 of friends and family. So we put together custom dates. We made it a little longer. So with those private trips, you can do that. With the other trips, they tend to be, we leave on Monday, we come back on Friday.
Right.
That's how it is.
Right.
And we, mostly for travel purposes, we stay in Haiti in the Caribbean and Central America. But we go to Tanzania regularly in Africa. We've gone into South America like Ecuador and some others. And this year we're going to do our second domestic travel program, which has really been interesting. So they've both been around Native American reservations in Arizona and New Mexico. And the woman who led the trip last year who traveled with us, she's led groups all over the world. She said the poverty and the need is as great as anything she's ever seen anywhere, and it's
True.
200 miles from here probably.
Yeah.
So we're starting to figure out how to do that in an appropriate way. A lot of our corporate donors in particular have said, look, you can use these shoes however you need. You can give them away. You can put them in your microenterprise program. But we don't want you using them in the U.S.
Right.
For great business reasons. And we respect that. And we as part of how we help solve some of their inventory problems. But as we understand more about the need here in the U.S., in a place like New Mexico or these giant reservations with no economic opportunity, we're trying to figure out what that looks like. It's harder, but it's definitely worth it.
Do you have a lot more flexibility with donated used shoes? That makes sense.
It's a great question, Matt. We do. Used shoes we can do whatever we want to do with.
Right.
However, the decision we've made up to now is we're not going to get in that business in the U.S. because it blurs the line when we say to our corporate donors,
Right.
hey,
Right.
we don't do stuff here.
Right.
We just draw the line. So
Right.
anything that we do in the U.S. right now is given away for free, and that's the smallest portion we have because most of our donors are here in the U.S.
Talk to us a bit about, also individuals across the country who may want to get involved and do their own drives, right? So how do they go to your website? Is there instructions, or is there somebody on the staff that they can talk them through how to set up a drive and what that looks like? And,
Absolutely. It's a key part of what we do. So this year we'll collect between 4 and 5 million pairs of shoes, and about half of those are used. And they come from exactly what you said, Andy. People, some people, they go into the closet, they have 2 pair, and they send them. But it's also, like this just happened recently, I got to meet a 13-year-old girl who's committed to collecting 25,000 pairs of shoes in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Oh.
Right? She started when she was 7.
Mm-hmm.
She had her birthday party, and she told her mother, I don't want any presents. Please ask people to bring shoes. I want to give them away to other people. And that sort of led her to Soles4Souls. And she's continued to collect shoes, and now she's the ripe old age of 13, and she's like, okay, I'm going to commit for the big one. And when you collect 25,000 pairs, we give you a trip for 2 people so that you get to experience the other side. The good news is we have a lot of support. So whether it's one of these regional distribution donation center managers, they're locally to do that. We have 4 people in Nashville who support that as well. So we really try to make it what are the best practices, what's worked, what's not worked. Some people say, look, it's going to take me 2 years to collect 25,000. And some people say, I want to do this in the next 60 days. Like, let's pour it on. And we can help either way do that. So on our website, it's,
and what's the website URL?
Very easy, thank you. SOULS4SOLES.org. Super easy. And so you can find out where to drop off something in your local community, how to mail it, or how to do a shoe drive, and anything in between.
You're an author now, so
you
had a book come out, and so tell us how that's been going, what kind of opportunities it's opened up for a broader conversation about the Soles4Souls mission. And I think if we get an email from a listener, info@fdra.org, if you want a copy, we will drop one in the mail to you free of charge, so people have access to the story. Tell us more about the book process and what the mission of the book was, so that people have a better understanding of who Soles4Souls is.
Well, thanks, and thanks again for writing the introduction to that book.
Shameless plug. I'm in it. Yep.
I knew there was an insider job. I'm going to tee up you so you can tee up me, and we can pat each other's backs instead of me patting my own back.
That's exactly right. You nailed it.
I know how this game's played. I pat my own back a lot, both sides.
He did not have to say yes, so I'm happy to give him a plug. He could have passed on that. But the idea, there are a couple things. Most people in the industry, if they've been around a while, will know there was a time when Soles4Souls went through a rough patch.
Yeah.
So part of it was to address that history. We don't spend much time on that, but we spend some. And then it's really 25 different perspectives on how Soles4Souls using shoes have changed people's lives. Mm-hmm. So it's the entrepreneurs in the country, women in Haiti and Honduras and Moldova. It is our direct partners there. So we work with people on the ground who have the same kind of mission that we do, and they make some money in our microenterprise model that they can put back into their schools or to foster care or to hiring young women so they don't get in the sex trade. So there are lots of benefits that come from their work. Our volunteers here, like one of the people in the book, we just yesterday gave to her and her mother our Volunteer of the Year award. She started when she was 15 And since 2010, she and her family have collected 300,000 pairs of shoes
my goodness
in Minneapolis,
gracious.
right? Pretty
Unbelievable.
amazing.
Awesome.
And then we talk about our corporate partners and how they fit into the picture. So, first of all, I cannot tell you the joy in getting to tell other people's stories about how they all intersect, right?
Yeah.
Going back and retelling some of those stories or kind of drawing out some of the things we didn't know has been one of the greatest things I've ever done. So
Yeah.
that part of writing the book was fantastic. And I think even people who know what we do, look, who's got time, right? I get paid to spend all my day on this, but if you're got 1,000 other things, you sort of know a little bit. So the
Right.
people who have given me feedback have said, I understand it now way better, and I understand why you're so passionate about it and how I can help. So those two things, getting to tell other people's stories and then let people have a new way into how they might get involved, has been tremendous. And so it's opened all kinds of doors for us.
Good.
The National Retail Federation Foundation, we got connected with them last year.
But he got an award. Let's more teeing up to tee up.
What award was
awesome.
this?
25 people changing retail. And
I thought it was coolest hair in the industry, but it is actually 25 people changing retail.
Why is this on the podcast? But that has opened up incredible doors to us, and the book has been a big part of that. So obviously their imprimatur is pretty nice.
Yeah.
But when they say, and here's a tangible thing that you can read about the organization, it has really transformed us. The other thing that's happened, and the book is a part of that, a year ago we took over a not-for-profit in Florida called Dignity You Wear, mostly focused on giving away apparel for free here in the U.S. And it's a long story that won't interest most people, but it allowed us to do a couple of things. One, we had a lot of apparel. The timing worked out that we were able to respond to the hurricanes in Texas, Florida, and Puerto Rico much faster than we would have ordinarily because we had a couple 100,000 pieces of clothing ready to go. But the other thing that has come with that was an advisory council based mostly in New York,
Yeah.
which, as you guys know, is still really important for apparel and footwear.
Absolutely.
And we didn't have a presence there. So we have leveraged that group and added some new people. And again, it was a world we didn't know.
Yeah.
And when we say, come and be a part of this, and they're like, who are you guys? What happened to Dignity You Wear? And we're able to say, look, this is 150 pages. It'll tell the whole story.
Right.
It gives us credibility. You know,
Yeah.
that's the selfish part, but it also makes it easy for people to say, I get it now.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Now, go ahead, Andy.
I was just wondering too. I mean, I'm sorry, but if there's individuals and communities in the U.S. and they know that they need shoes for people in poverty, is there a way for them to reach out and say, you know, we need the shoes. We're
Happens every day, Andy.
You know, because I think about it based on just personal experience. My sister's a school teacher in Waxhaw, North Carolina. She has students who are homeless. You know, it's a big problem.
big problem.
It's not isolated. People think, oh, that's one or two off. It's not isolated. And so we, you know, oftentimes after you're able to get shoes given to us and or gift certificates or something. So I asked her, I was like, you know, can I buy you a new pair of shoes? And she says, my student needs a new pair. He's homeless. He doesn't have any.
Yeah.
So instead of taking those, she gave them to him. And then she said, there's other needs that we need that are exactly like this. You know, she's helping like pay for some of their lunches during the day to keep them fed and keep them, you know, sold with their shoes. So how can people reach out and say, you know what, like we have a problem in our community. We could use some of those donated shoes, or how is there also a program for
Through
that?
the website.
Yep.
It's a big part of what we do. A woman on our team, Tiffany Turner, coordinates all that, and
Do you get a lot of requests for that? Yeah.
far more than we can fill.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's no question about
Right.
that. And schools are a huge source of demand on
Sure.
that side. You know, we're in Nashville, so we do a lot of work there. Over the last 4 years, we've given away about 60,000 pairs of shoes to stay in the Metro Nashville school system. And, you know, the schools learned and we've learned with them. So the first few years, we gave them directly to kids. And so we still do some of that because it's fun for the kids and it gives volunteers a chance to see into this. Like you said, we went to a school in May. It's an elementary school. 20 languages are spoken.
Wow.
All the kids, like 95%.
This is Nashville.
This is
not
Nashville.
New York City.
This is Nashville.
Right.
Nashville has like over 200 languages. People don't realize.
95% of the kids are on free and reduced lunch, and probably 20% are homeless on any given day. I mean, they're not all homeless all the time, but that's 5 miles from our office, right?
Right.
And we could all say that in D.C.,
Of course.
anybody here.
Right.
So what we've learned is the let's do some of that so we make the awareness part more
Right.
important. But we now probably gave them this year 10,000 pairs of shoes that they kept in their, I think they call it a resource center. So the teachers, like your sister, can say, not reach into my own pocket, but
Yep.
call that resource center.
Sure.
Now, it would be a dream to be able to do that everywhere,
Yeah, of
right?
course. Right.
So, we do it when we can, and it is really powerful to get that sort of insight of how much need there is.
Right.
Again, from where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, before we bring in Jasmine for our world famous "What You Got, What You Gonna Get," so Buddy is like an ultra marathoner, ultra runner.
God bless
probably
you.
ran here from Nashville, I'm thinking. To Vegas.
Definitely not.
When was the last run? Give us an update. And what shoes were you wearing when you went for a run? And kind of walk us through that.
So, sad story on that. I had knee surgery in January that I'm still recovering from.
Oh,
I'm working through that.
Yeah.
I'm working through that.
and that's knowing my wife's a runner is having challenges right now. That's an emotional work through too, right?
There was a little tailspin this summer where I definitely got in the hole, but I went to Colorado for a week and I felt much better
Good.
being in those mountains and hiking. I'm scheduled to do the Grindstone 100 in October.
It's terrible. Grindstone, you will die.
It's not far from you guys. It's in near Harrisonburg.
Yep.
In southwestern Virginia.
Yep.
And I don't think I'm going to be able to run it, but I have 38 hours to finish. I figure I can hike 80 and run 20, and I've got a shot at finishing in 38 hours.
Wow.
That's my plan.
Okay.
And I will be wearing Hoka Stinson ATRs.
Good for you.
Oh.
Good for you. We
You know,
love
I could
Hoka.
I could drive that in an hour and a half probably.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it.
Not on
Yeah.
this trail, pal.
Well,
There's some nice coffee shops in downtown Harrisonburg. I know it well, and I'll go and have a latte and just think of you as you run by. So.
go, buddy. You know,
My wife crewed me.
where's my latte?
My wife crewed me on a run in Utah called the Wasatch 100s, pretty famous 100-miler. But it's really easy because Park City's on half. She's like, you could do this race anytime. She went and had like some swanky omelet. She kind of had she just had this great day. She said, that's the way to crew these things. Not spending half the night in the woods cold in the dark.
It's a spiritual journey, I'm
What's
sure.
the equivalent of, we call it glamping, when you go camping glamorously? What's the glamorous ultra marathon?
I don't think there is such a
crewing?
thing.
My wife would tell you, other than her Park City experience, zero.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Cool. All right, Jasmine, tee us up.
All right. Are you ready?
We're ready.
Okay.
What
You gotta explain the rules.
I will.
Okay.
What you got, what you getting.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you what I have on now, and then I'm going to tell you what shoes I'm planning on getting in the future.
It's a
Okay.
celebration of capitalism, really. It's
So-
the American dream. As I had to explain this to my cousin-in-law who was from Fiji, and I said, the American dream is this. You buy a television, and then you lust after the bigger one at the same time you're buying it, right? That's
While
the
you're
American
buying
dream.
it.
That's right. He loved it.
So I'll start us off. I have on a pair of Michael Kors sandals that I got from Macy's, and I love them. And I'm planning on getting a pair of Air Force Ones for the wintertime.
Awesome.
Do you have a colorway in mind of your Air Force Ones?
Yes, I want like a tan color, like something fall like.
The Uber high ones? Or
Yes,
just
the
normal?
Uber high ones.
Gotcha.
Yes, I want those.
Sweet. All right. Andy?
Okay.
Andy's
I have
so
my
predictable.
actually I bought a pair of shoes actually recently.
Oh, well,
This
give
week.
us that. I want to know.
Well, it's not exactly like I'm wearing Adidas Boost, and I bought Adidas Boost,
okay.
and
different
I'm wearing Adidas Boosts that are black uppers, and then like the foam outsole is white, and I
Right.
bought boosts that are black uppers, and the foam outsole is black.
Okay. All right.
So
That's
it's black
a switch
on
up.
black.
Okay.
And
And you're
I-
branching out, man.
I
That's
have to.
The fact that he didn't say
very,
Sperry's is like
well, I'm
Right.
step in
very.
the right
I don't.
direction.
I want to say I'm like brand loyal, but I'm just kind of lazy shopper. I guess I'm. Yep, those work. All right, sure. You know, like
No, you got a brand loyalty. I think there's some of that in there.
I can send you some links
no.
throughout the year.
Listen,
Might be
I have.
interested.
All you
know,
gotta do is follow the FDRA Twitter feed,
At
and you
this
will be
point,
sucked
I've
in.
got 2 babies and a wife who are getting,
Oh, yeah, they get all the shoes.
They get all the shoes.
Yeah.
So my job is to make sure I have what I need and nothing more, so that
They
their
can
needs
have
are
it all.
fulfilled.
Okay,
Yeah.
that works.
Wow, what a good dad.
Right? Okay, Matt, your turn.
I've got some Fluvogs on, the
Oh,
Canadian
cool.
designer.
Oh yeah,
And some fun socks.
look at those Fluvogs. Yeah.
And so these are kind of reach for the extraordinary, it says on the outsole.
okay.
He always has built-in messages.
Does that
Yeah.
come with the flu shot? Yeah.
No, it doesn't. And they've got like they're a leather upper, low top, kind of casual men's shoe with a zipper, a gold zipper on the side.
Are they
So
comfortable? They look like super lightweight.
they're very comfortable, and Carrie Rasmussen from Farrah, our Canadian friend, her favorite designer, a guy named John Fluvog, who has a lot of stores. There's
Yep.
Portland and Greenwich Village, and he's all over the place. So
Super unique.
super unique indeed. What am I gonna get? I've come to the realization that I have way too many shoes.
Yes.
I'll tell you what you need to get. You want to know what you need to get?
Well, I got to. So I got to
I'm gonna
text.
tell
no,
you.
Hold on.
I'm
You
gonna
need,
tell
to,
you.
you
gotta
need to get
text.
to a Soles4Souls drop-off.
That's what I was going to say.
That's it.
You need to get on the website, get a bag, and drop it off. That's
Well,
what
I
you
will
need to
tell you
get.
this. Andy texted me the other day and said, "Hey, I just got some shoes that I'm not wearing. How about I text you some pictures? You might want them because Andy and I wear the same size, and
That's
that
heaven.
works perfect."
And for friendship. Yeah.
I literally. I'm interested because I love shoes, but I'm also like, I don't know where I'm gonna put them.
Right.
Storage unit, man. It's only like $35.
Part of the American dream.
Yeah.
Can I put at the Richmond donation center? Can I put like a cubby and put my shoes in it and just come and get them when I need them? Anyway, so I don't know. To be determined. I'll
Okay.
say that.
What
All right,
about
here
you,
we go, buddy.
All right,
you got?
so I am wearing. I just bought
Oh,
these
those are
Hokas.
beautiful.
Yeah,
I
I
those
love
are
love
super
these. I
comfortable.
put them on, and I just freaking love them.
They're
I was like a
beautiful.
kid. I walked out of the store with them. Bought
Oh,
them
I
from
love it.
A
They
great
put your old nasty ones in the box. and
absolutely.
shit, of course.
What store did you buy it in?
Team Nashville. It's
Okay.
a
Okay.
specialty running store. It was my first time in there. They were fantastic. I'm back. I'm in. I will keep going back. I loved them. It was a great experience.
Was it because did they measure your foot and all
Go
that
run
kind of
and
stuff?
go run out back
Wow,
and talk
okay.
to me about what you're doing and
Yeah.
listen to me tell my sad runner stories.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they love to hear.
I said, "Look, you don't want to hear this, but I have to tell you the story." He's like, "Yeah, okay. You're
And
right.
I'm paid to listen.
As long as you buy the shoes, I'll listen." I am a huge fan of Allbirds, so I
Yeah.
will be getting some more of those. I like the company, the story. You guys had Joey at the event in New
Yeah.
York a few weeks ago.
You were wearing some yesterday, I saw.
How did you like that event, the sourcing
I
summit?
love
we
the
did?
Sourcing Summit. It was my second time there, and it's a great event. And the other pair of shoes that I just love, it's the most I've ever spent on a pair of shoes for me. To Boot New York,
The Boot New York.
great company.
Okay.
How do you spell it?
T.O. Boot.
Boot- Oh, okay.
Yep.
Cool.
To boot or not to boot?
That is the question.
I'll look that up.
And
No.
they're called Flyboy. I sort of don't like the name.
Yeah. Like from a living color.
Yeah, it's a living color. Fly boy, fly girls.
It is the Me Too movement. We can't have fly
Oh,
girls
gosh.
anymore.
Oh.
We gotta have fly people.
Fly people.
I sent my wife a text. I'm like, "Hey, I want to get these boots. I don't buy anything without checking with the CFO." And she said, "Really, Flyboy?" Not about the price, which was I was prepared
Right,
for. Like,
right.
if you lost
Yeah.
your mind. But no, you're going to buy something called Flyboy.
It's all right.
That's what our spouse is there for, to to hone
you
us,
back to
right?
earth.
Exactly.
Humility.
Well, buddy, this has been awesome as always. Tell people the website again so people can get involved. They have a
Soles
passion.
for Souls, SOLES, the number 4, SOULS.org.
Awesome. Keep up the good work. It's an
Thanks for
honor
having
to be a part of your orbit. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And
Andy?
folks, as always, this is the Shoe and Show. We're covering the ins and outs of the footwear industry. You've just heard a dynamic story from a nonprofit doing great work around the world. Don't throw your shoes away. Donate them. Do not throw them away. You do not have to throw them away. I should also say, do not donate them to the bins that are at the CVS. Those are go to a company that actually makes a little bit of a profit off of that, and they don't always go to the right people. If you donate for someone like Soles4Souls, they go to people in need at no cost. So make sure you visit the website. You can Google Soles4Souls, learn more about how you can set up a donation drive, learn how you can just clean out your closet and send in packing slips. They have those that you can get as well. Folks, as always, thank you for joining us. You can reach out to us at Shoein on social media, on Facebook, Twitter. We're shoeinshow.com, where you can download our whole entire library and listen to us yap all day long. You can binge. You can binge on Shoein.
Never enough Andy.
Who wouldn't want that?
Never enough Andy.
Folks, if you have ideas for people you'd like to have on the show or topics you'd like us to discuss, just drop us a line.
We're getting a lot of email in that regard.
We're getting a lot of email. But we really enjoy it, and we do. If people do reach out and want to come on, we do have them on.
Yeah.
So please continue to engage with us in that way. And until next time, keep listening. Shoein is out.
Shoein has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.